So I finally got it. Deltarune Chapter 2. Although it didn't change much to the lore, though it added it a little bit, there's one thing that I have not seen a lot of people talk about yet. Or at least something that seems obvious to me. And that is how it reveals to us how cognition changes the dark worlds. And that obviously recontextualizes a lot about what we know about Deltarune, or about what we thought we knew about it at least. So I think I've kind of figured out about some mysteries that we did not know about before. First of all, how the dark worlds are constructed, which is kind of obvious if you play the game. Some of the characters are in it. Lastly, how the worlds are affected or formed based on the people or characters that enter the world. And you can really easily see my point with Noelle, but mostly their connection to her dead sister Des. Specifically a puzzle section / cutscene that writes out December. It's quite easy to miss because you're probably reading the narration at the top, and that blocks out the letters. But it's quite obvious that that's the full name of her dead sister, as she keeps talking about Des in this narration. It also perfectly fits with the naming scheme that Noelle's family has, as their last name is Holiday. There's also Noelle's room that is hinted to actually be Des's room, because there's a wardrobe there, and the clothes inside doesn't seem to fit Noelle or something. There's also a calendar there, in which it seems to be only the last month, and we're looking at the 25th. So calendar, 25th, Christmas, December, maybe some connection here. Is this something that happens out of nowhere? Was this something that was in the dark world before she went in? No, I doubt it. It seems like certain people have the power to change the shape or the architecture inside of the dark world. And in this case, it's the emotions of Noelle that seems to have a great effect of how the dark world is shaped. Sport is a bit more. There's a lot of other examples you can come up with Noelle. For example, there's virus creatures here and ambulance creatures here which you have to defeat. That can be tied to her sick dad. And as you know, Queen was quite overbearing against Noelle in the dark world. And that could be connected to her very overbearing mother in real life as well. She also overcomes her fear of mice in the dark world as well. And she also seems to be scared of cars, which is funny and fitting considering she's a reindeer and they often get run at by cars. She also connects with her crush Susie, which she's never really been able to do before. Really, there's no wonder why she thinks it's all a dream, because the entire world seems to fit her perfectly. I really think this is very sufficient evidence for my theory that cognition changes the properties of the dark worlds. Now, with this new information, it kind of changes how we need to view on the dark worlds. Because as we know, it's quite clear that dark worlds are not real by itself. The properties of the dark worlds, what are inside of it, is based on what people drag into it, source. Whatever that be items or emotions, that doesn't seem to matter. Basic perception seems to fit with this criteria as well. The items that are brought into the dark world, that's what actually gives it life. That's what makes all the creatures show up, that's how all the set pieces show up, that's how the background shows up. That's the entire reason why the first dark world from chapter 1 is different from the dark world in chapter 2. Because the first one is set in a closet, or an old classroom I suppose, with a lot of old props. And the second one is set in the computer lab in the library. I would like to remind you of how their portals are created. They seem to be summoned by Kris by opening the portals to the real world. However, there is something wrong with this view. Why would an entirely another world be entirely based on ordinary Lightner things? Worlds being based around checkerboards, plushies and electric cables that just happens to be placed exactly where you would find checkerboards, plushies, and electric cables in the real world. When you think about it, it seems quite like the adventures in the Dark World doesn't exactly actually happen, and are just visions based on how you perceive your surroundings. However, I'm not necessarily saying that the Dark World doesn't exist, that they aren't real. I propose another possibility. Look at what happens after Kris opens the Dark Portal at the end of Chapter 2. The room is being swelled up by some sort of dark essence. I think this dark essence is the secret. I think this essence from the Dark World, mixed with the items and properties of the Light World, is what creates the kingdoms that we see. And I think that is something in the middle of the two worlds. I still think it's undeniable that Cognition has a say in it though, mostly because of my previous points regarding Noelle. Regardless, my complete theory of sorts regarding the Dark World is that there's some sort of parasitic force that enters the Light World and makes the room in question an isolated another world, an alternate world you could say, that has the properties changed based on cognition of the people that enter it. And also its physical surroundings, obviously. Now, I would like to speak on something that might be a bit controversial regarding the first Dark World from Chapter 1. I said that emotions seems to affect Dark Worlds, judging from Noelle. And surely that rule is the same for all Dark Worlds, yeah? Yes. The person in question that I would like to talk about that affects the properties of the first Dark World is Kris. While on the surface, it doesn't seem like he has much of an effect, but I would like to raise some hard-hitting points about that. First of all, Kris clearly misses Asriel after he left for college. We can see it in his browser history, from the subtext, from the descriptions, from looking at Asriel stuff, and most of all, from Ralsei. In this world, suddenly Kris can go on an adventure with his brother again. He's even much younger, closer to Kris's age, and is extremely clingy. Indeed, people. Dark World seems to have responded to Kris's emotions and made a copy of his brother. We can even see that each chance he gets, Kris will always go hug him. And you know what? You all fell for it! You all saw a cute little Asriel clone, you were like, oh so cute, and you didn't see through the lines. Do you remember the first battle in Cyber City? When you meet those werewires that start out being tired? Didn't you, the player, think, man, I wish Ralsei was here, so I could end this battle quickly? And right after, Ralsei actually comes. I bet Kris also wished for Ralsei, for his brother, to be there, and that's why Ralsei appears. We also know that darkness petrify if they manifest outside of their designated area, but Ralsei seems to be unaffected. Perhaps because he isn't based on a physical form, but as an emotion tied to Kris? Anyways, I don't think all this matters much in the end. I think the real takeaway here should be, what the fuck even, what even is Ralsei? Can we even trust him? Think about it. He seems to be exactly what Kris wants. He has been all cute from minute 1, and it doesn't exactly reveal much, unless he absolutely has to. For example, when he talked about the roaring and the titans, just before Birdley was about to screw it all up. Wouldn't that be important to reveal earlier to us? And if he really is a manifestation created from darkness, that should just make us trust him even less, considering he's the person telling us exactly what we should do in this world. No, don't worry about Spamp and Neon. That's just a corrupted program. Oh, please don't kill anybody. You see, I'm putting all the darkness in one place, totally not to just build an army or absorb their power, just like Flower did in the pacifist ending of Undertale. Listen, I'm your brother, right? You can trust me. So, in conclusion, Dark Worlds are shaped and formed by emotions and things around it, obviously. The biggest proof is Noelle. And of course you can also extrapolate this to other things in the game, such as Ralsei, which I have done. And judging from what I have analyzed, this game is... There's a lot of hidden things in this game. And I don't trust Ralsei anymore. Is what I'm concluding at, I guess.